Tales of the Lore Keeper, Episode 3, The Real Monsters. Written, voiced, and produced by Jojo Kaiser. Yes? Can I help you? Mr. Anderson, you called me yesterday. Oh, you're the lore keeper. You arrived so soon. I like to get to people before they back out. Well, I appreciate it. Come in. Sorry about the mess. It hasn't been the same since Edna died. And I'm getting tired in my old age. It's quite all right. Would you like some tea? Or maybe some soda? No, that's okay. Please, if we can get started. Oh, you young people, always in a rush. Very well. Where do I begin? July 7th, 1952. Right here in Chicago. It was my 13th birthday. And my father had brought me a brand new Polaroid camera. They had only recently figured out how to get it to black and white, and I was ecstatic. I remember rushing to my friend's house, good old Wesker Mariotti, after my party and showing it off. We took pictures of everything, his mother, his sister, the birds, the dog, ourselves. Oh, we ran that camera dry. Thankfully, my father knew my love of photography and brought me mountains of film. Father always spoiled us. I miss him most days. He died tragically a year later in 53, a tragic loss for everyone. Father was everyone's friend, and everyone was Father's friend. Anyway, I played with the camera all summer. I took photos of everyone and everything. Then, one day I met him. The man who would change my life forever. Thomas Forball. He was a tall fellow. At least he was tall to me. Even as an adult, I never quite grew above 5'6" or so. He was strong, too. Could lift 300 pounds above his head with one hand. He caught me taking pictures in the park and asked me if he could hire me to do a photo shoot for his modeling portfolio. Says he was some kind of actor or movie man. I told him, yes, of course. The excitement for a young teenager to make some cash right before the school year? I remember rushing home to tell my father the news, and of course he was supportive. He wanted to meet Mr. Forball. I mean, why wouldn't he? He was a strange grown man who wanted to spend time with his son. So the day of the photo shoot came. Father escorted me to Mr. Forball's uptown apartment, and it was marvelous. I remember how the walls shined as if polished marble. The floors were wooden and not very common in those days, and waxed to perfection. And it was huge. I felt like I was in a museum with all the art on the walls. Mr. Forball showed us to his studio, and my father sat in a chair in the corner as I took the pictures as promised. He paid me $25, and back in those days, that was a cart full of groceries. For a young boy, that was a new toy or some of his favorite gadgets. But Father wanted me to be smart, so he took me and the money to the bank, and we invested it in a small account. That investment brought me and Edna this house, you know. Smart man, my father. Too smart. Over the next few months, taking photos with Mr. Fourball became a normal thing. Even once I returned to school, my Saturdays and even some weeknights would be taken by Mr. Fourball in his time. I began making so much money, my father, the ever-protector, did get a little suspicious, but every time I would invest or tell him it was fine, he'd believe me, I guess. Parents' intuition is always right, however. It didn't take long before Mr. Fourball began to make advances. Soon, the photos went from model shoots or photos of properties he was trying to sell to naked poses of him in his bedroom or on his balcony. And it wasn't long before I started to feel things about him. Mr. Fourball was a tall, toned, tanned man with ashy blonde hair and piercing blue eyes, a chiseled jaw, and I was a confused teenage boy. I began having fantasies about him, explicit fantasies, and before I knew it, my mind was full of thoughts, sinful thoughts. And one day, in the winter of 1952, he took me for himself. And I let him. It hurt at first, of course, but after a while I began to enjoy it. My awakening was with that man. And by the early spring of 53, me and Mr. Fourball had an arrangement. Every few days I would come to his house for pictures, and every Saturday we would bed. I would take a few normal pictures to show my father, but that summer is the one I'll never forget. The one I can never go back on. That summer is the reason I called you here today, Mr. Keeper. It was a normal Wednesday morning. I had gone to Mr. Fourball's home, and he had moved a couple of months prior, you see. Said he needed a new home with a large basement. When he opened the door, something seemed off about him. He was happy to see me, of course he was, but he looked too happy. As if something had changed in his life. He ushered me into the basement of his new home. I hadn't been down there since he moved, and there, the horror of what I had seen can never, ever be gone from my mind. Mr. Fourball had instruments of torture hanging from the walls. On one side, a large medieval-like rack made for stretching humans, and in the center of the room, a large table with some sort of electrical device next to it. And on it was a man, naked and unmoving. I approached cautiously and saw that the man's face was twisted into a visage of horror, terror, and pain. But he was dead. With burn marks all over his body, he had lacerations, and on one side of his face looked to be dried candle wax. I don't know what came over me, why the strange urge caused me to do so, but I took the camera hanging around my neck, and I snapped a picture of him, and then another, getting all angles, every intricate detail, and I heard Mr. Fourball chuckle behind me. Good! That's what I needed from you. You knew just what to do. I've been killing a long time, Tommy. A very, very long time. And now, I have the world's greatest photographer to help me document them. He caressed my shoulder, pulled me close, undressed his bathrobe, and right there, in front of a dead body, in a room full of torturous instruments, we made passionate love, the deepest and most invigorating we had ever done up until that point. Before I knew it, almost every time I went over, that's what would happen. There'd be a dead body, I'd take a few pictures, and we would make love. Eventually, I got to watch the kills. get some photos as they wriggled and screamed, and it would fill me with so much sexual frustration I practically would tear the clothes off of Mr. Fourball. This went on for months, until November of that year, when Father, very suddenly, forbade me to ever go back to Mr. Fourball again. I was in shock. Nothing had changed, but then I realized a lot had changed. I was no longer bringing home money or photographs for Father to see for quite some time. And though he never mentioned it, I feel like he could see the marks on my body. The teeth marks, the scratches. He knew what was going on. He understood. I wrote to Mr. Fourball that night. Told him of Father's wishes, and then nothing. Until mid-December. Father didn't come home that day. Mother was distraught. We called the police, and days rolled by. 4 days after Father's disappearance, Mr. Fourball contacted me through a private letter dropped off at the principal's office. Said he knew where my father was and to come to his house urgently. I went, and I saw, and in the basement, on that table, was my dead father. And I tell you this, Mr. Keeper. What I'm about to tell you makes me sick to my stomach, but I was aroused. I snapped the photos of my dead father, and once again I was in the arm of Mr. Thomas Fourball. We dumped my father a state away to be found by authorities. At his funeral I cried fake tears, and afterwards I was free. Mr. Fourball and I continued killing and making love for another 2 years, and then, quite quickly, in fact, in the summer of '55, Mr. Fourball experienced a heart attack. I found him in his home. Quickly, I knew what to do. I went down to the basement, took the tools off the walls, took the table and the drawing rack apart, the machine and everything. I rented a moving truck with Mr. Fourball's checkbook, and I got everything out of that house. No one would ever know what happened, and Mr. Fourball would live on in the memory of the community as a kind, caring man. After that, I stopped taking pictures of everything. Sickening to say, without the dead bodies or the loving arms of that man, I lost my passion. I met Edna in my senior year of high school, and we've been married for over 50 years. I still have the photos, you know. They're on that bookshelf, inside that photo album. It has a lock on it, and here's the key. After all these years, why tell anyone this? And why me? Because, Mr. Keeper, I read your stories about otherworldly encounters with the personification of death, or a faceless man who stalks and tortures his victims, but it's important for your readers to understand that sometimes the monsters are not ghosts and demons. Sometimes they are the rich community leader and a young teenage boy who only wanted to take a few photographs. No sooner had Mr. Anderson finished his last sentence that he fell back in his chair and died in front of my very eyes. I suppose the weight of the guilt and stress of what he had done and partaken in had finally got to him. His heart killed over once he told someone, anyone, of what happened those 3 years in 1950s Chicago. I turned over a copy of what I wrote to the police, along with the photo album and its key. At least 70 victims, including Mr. Anderson's father, were identified. Hopefully, many families get closure. It feels surreal to write this story down. Strange, even. I've heard tales that would shake the normal human to their very core, but this one got to me. Mr. Anderson was right. I've spent so many years chasing down the paranormal and supernatural that I never stopped to think of the evil that lurks within the common man. The Lore Keeper is an anthology series of short stories that I have written to be put on this channel. If you guys like this, I would appreciate you liking the video, as well as leaving a comment down below telling me what you thought of the story. And if you want to see more, you can either click the playlist that should be showing up on screen pretty soon, or you can subscribe and wait for next week's installment. I have a lot of fun writing these, and it's an untapped creativity that I never thought that I would find. So, thank you. I love you all, and I will see you next week.